Yeah, we're pretty comfortable with where we are. We're getting now in the swing of things. You guys had 2 quizzes now. You kind of know what I expect. Anyone be interested in the help section before each of the quizzes? My TA Daniel Duffy would be happy to do it. He says he's kind of bored because no one comes in and talks to him. So
there's not a way to post the answers without going
I prefer not to, but you can actually go through with Daniel. You can go over your quiz. He sees exactly what you have on your quiz, and you've got the answers there too. And then we're trying to make these, Daniel tries very hard. If you've got a wrong answer, he tries very hard to figure out what you did wrong. And so we're trying to catch the carry-through errors. If you think we missed a carry-through error, please come back and talk to us. So I think that's important too. If anyone missed, if you miss an exam, if you're a day late, come in and talk to me too. Like I said, if you're a day late, we'll give you 20% off, but we'll at least be able to get most of those. Someone looks like he lost something.
Yeah, it's like a bag in here.
Let me share a thought. We preached yesterday. A good friend of mine, Steve Christiansen, he was explaining he was a bishop in Wyoming. It was a little town, and they got a new minister in the other in one of the other churches, and so Steve went over and kind of introduced himself, and then when the guy found out that he was Mormon, this kind of face went, his countenance fell. And he turned to Steve and he said, Steve, you guys are really good guys. You Mormons are really good people, but you're not Christian. It's kind of interesting. Steve, he calls us, he says, in a moment of inspiration, he turned to this person and he said, you know what? I think you're being a little bit presumptuous to be able to decide who is and who is not in the flock. He said, shouldn't we let the good shepherd decide? And I like that one. Shouldn't we let the good shepherd decide? And a lot of times, even in our congregation, sometimes we're a little bit quick to judge. Oh, this person hasn't been out very often, and things like that. Realize our job is to love. We should leave judgment to the Lord. Okay, that's my thought for today. It's just kind of an interesting thing. Let's start with our PFDs. One of the things I haven't done is, with each of these sections, you know how we said this is a principles and application-based approach? Well, I've gone back and made sure that we have, what are the principles of effective, auto decisions and effective cash management, effective debt reduction. So I've gone back and I've included those in each of the summaries and each of the PowerPoints. So you just might be that might be helpful. So in the section on credit cards, what type of a credit card user are you? There's only 3 options. You're a credit user, which means you actually keep a balance. You're a convenience user, mainly just for the float, or both. What are the names of each card you have? Interest rate. So I don't need a card number, I don't need a password, I need Visa, Costco, American Express, whatever those are. So what's the interest rate, fee structure, calculation method? The calculation method is they're always all average daily balance now. Any cash advance costs, other costs, credit limit for each of your cards. And we'd like you to use this credit card template. And the action plan is which cards should you use and why? And what will you do to improve your credit card use? Okay? So that's under credit cards. Under section 8 is credit reports and credit scores. So I want 1 copy of a credit report and 1 copy of a credit score. And so I'd like the source of your credit report. Is it Experian, TransUnion, Equifax? So I'd like the source of that credit report. And on your credit score, I'd like your rank in percentage terms, the provider of the credit score. It's FICO, it's a TransUnion. And actually you'll use template, your credit report, credit score template. So you have that template there too. I don't need to see the actual report. All I need to know here, so I'd like to know what is your credit score, what's your rank in percentage terms. And then I'd like you to have checked your credit report for mistakes. Mistakes can have a significant impact on your credit score. Yes?
Sorry, you may get to this, but with the FICO score, which you recommend, because it's used for these things, is it generally different than a score from like Credit Karma or other things?
It can be significantly different. You could have the same credit score provider, so the same FICO score, but with 3 different credit report providers, and you'll have 3 different scores. So be aware. A lot depends on that. So I'd like you to check it. Your action plan, what is your plan to improve your credit scores? What can you do to improve? What's kind of the goal for most credit scores? Above what score can you usually get the highest rates? Yeah, roughly 750, 760, around that range. So ideally for us here, that should be our goal. Can we change our score? And can we change it relatively easily? And the answer is yes. And so what we'll do is we'll kind of discuss a lot of things here. Anybody get too many credit card applications? How many people have gotten a credit card application in the last 6 months? Okay, here's a question. How many people have moved in the last 6 months? Okay, what's the risk about having these pre-approved credit card offers come to your home? Especially when you're students. How quickly do the addresses change in the credit reports? Not very quickly. So what happens is a lot of people, a lot of students, they'll move from apartment A to apartment B, and then this pre-approved credit card offer will come to their old apartment. Someone who's not very honest will sign it, send it out. A new credit card will come, they'll spend it. Whose credit report does that go on? It goes on yours. Would you guys like to eliminate that risk of credit? This thing? If you'll go to do 18885 opt-out, or you can go to www.optoutprescreen. What this does is eliminates all of the pre-approved credit card offers. And so what they can't do, they're kind of program offers. And so what you'll do is on the phone, it asks for your home number, your name, address, and social security number. And then they'll send a form for you to fill out. You can either stop it for 2 years, 5 years, or indefinitely. I had children who were getting credit card offers. I got so mad I put all of their names on. And then a few years later, they eliminated, if you're under a certain age, the companies can't send you those credit card offers. But it's a good thing to do. I would recommend. It would reduce some of the risk of identity fraud. And the nice thing about this is it would cut my mail by about 80%. Yes?
Is there any downside to doing that?
The thing is, you can always go request any credit card you want. This does not allow them to send you a pre-approved card. So generally what some companies will do, they'll go through, just do a generic one. They'll serve anyone with a credit score above a certain amount, they'll send you this card to. And this eliminates that ability. So I think it's a good idea. Anybody else get phone calls yesterday at about 2 o'clock, right after church? Maybe it's like 3 o'clock after church. I got this phone call from a charity we support. So it's a very good name. And I just said, you know what, today's Sunday. I know you're, then I tried to be nice. I said, I know you're just, this is a job for you, but can't you give us a break on Sunday? And the guy says, well, this Sunday's the only day most people are at home. I says, you know what, give people a break. But anyone get a lot of phone calls, and generally you get them about dinner time, 6, 7 o'clock. I always get the phone calls, and now I kind of have fun with them. Would it be nice to have it against the law for them to call you on those phone numbers? And the answer is yes. So what you can do is you can get on this Do Not Call Registry, and what it does, it makes it against the law for them to call you. And now when people call me, I kind of have fun. And I say, hey, do you know what's a $15,000 fine for you to call a firm that's on, a company that's a phone number that's on the Do Not Call Registry? Can I talk to your manager, please? You know, I know they're doing the things, but it can get a little disheartening. So I think this is a good idea as well. And here's just some instructions on this. Okay. So tell me what credit is. What's the difference between credit and open credit or revolving credit? Or are they all the same thing?
I mean, credit in general, I guess, there's lots of different kinds, but it's just owing money. But like a revolving credit or an open credit doesn't mean that you do owe money, but you could if you wanted to. So whether it's a credit card or home equity line of credit, it's just that you have that available or accessible to you.
Okay. Credit a good thing or a bad thing?
Yes.
Yeah. And the answer, it depends. How about what's our view on credit? Is it allowable? Should we use it or could we use it? I got this interesting email, and these are unsolicited emails. And it actually came to came to my email address, but addressed to the dean because his name's on the website. It says, Dear Mr. Cornea, regarding providing a way for people to learn about personal finance is a great service to people. I commend you on that. However, what I find uncomfortable to read is the appropriate use of a credit. And that would seem to be a total contradiction to biblical principles. Proverbs 22:7 states that the borrower is servant to the lender. I don't know how a religious institution of higher learning could advocate the use of a credit card. So, and then he goes on for a whole bunch of other things here. And he says, there's not anywhere in the Bible where it says that debt is okay. I was thinking about attending instead of BYU, he writes by, for a degree in personal finance and business, but when I saw the philosophy on credit, I was quite disturbed by what I read. BYU is a religious school, and I would think that they would teach biblical principles regarding money. I look forward to a detailed reply. Respectfully yours. I sent him an email and asked permission to use it in class. And he sat back and said, sure. So if you want to use the email, sure, I would be honored. And then, so how would you respond to that? How would you respond? Yes?
Credit is a tool if you use them wisely.
It's a tool.
Digging your own grave.
Yeah, you're digging your own grave, and a lot of people have. Other thoughts? Yes.
Well, so I keep track of obviously how much money I have, and I only spend that, but I try and use a credit card if at all possible because a lot of businesses incorporate the credit card charge fee into their prices, and I'm getting my percentage back or whatever, so I'm technically saving money when I'm using the credit card as long as I'm not spending more than I have with the credit card.
Other thoughts? Yes.
Well, the way the world is going, a credit card, it actually introduces another layer of safety or security.
Okay.
Because there's that layer away from your, checking, savings, debit card. So if your information does get stolen, I mean, it's on credit. If you can prove that you didn't make those purchases, you're not out a bunch of money that was yours. It's just,
So here's how I responded. I said, Ted, thanks for your comments. And I've reviewed your email and have a few thoughts. I've used a credit card for 45 years and have not paid $1 in interest. Of course, my wife, sometimes we forget to pay off the credit card at the end of each month just because we're in Asia or we're in Nauvoo or places like that. So my wife has probably called up, and I bet she saved us $5,000 or $6,000 over our 30-year married year life of just calling up and saying, we were just happened to be there. Can you eliminate that charge? Generally, every year they'll do that. I call a credit card either a tool to help people achieve their financial goals and objectives or the single most destructive instrument in the history of mankind. It depends on the user. Fire is the same type of tool, but no one would say don't use fire even though people can get burned. I have reserved cars, bought things, reserved rooms, and never paid $1 in interest. I've always had the money before I made the purchases. So please know you can use a credit card, not violate Proverbs. And then I say a little bit more. If you read carefully what we teach, notice that we're not saying you should use a credit card for credit, only for convenience and for its purposes. We are not teaching to go into debt, exactly the opposite. Rather, we are helping people understand the rules of our financial environment and helping them to use those rules to accomplish their personal and financial goals. So thank you for your comments. Let's be careful we do not let our own view of what is biblical impinge on someone else's view who might have a slightly different view. As you wrote, I look forward to a detailed reply. Needless to say, I didn't get any response back, except I could use his email. But the point is we need to be wise. And he's right. The borrower is the servant of the lender. How long have we been told to get out of debt? 6,000 years. To this Shunammite woman, Hittite debt and live. So we need to be wise in the things that we're doing. Have you ever thought about the principles of effective credit card use? Let's spend a couple of minutes. We all have credit cards, or many of us have credit cards. What would be the key? What are the principles of effective credit card use? That if we follow these principles, it would help us make wiser decisions. Why don't we take a couple of minutes? You want to give me some ideas?
I think it helps you budget more effectively. I mean, if I'm using cash,
Uh-huh.
it's harder to keep track of my purchases and what I'm spending on, whereas the credit card automatically.
So it really basically keep good records for tax and other purposes. Other principles?
Don't spend money that you don't have.
Yeah. So basically, pay it off. Don't run a balance.
Stick to your budget.
Yeah. You know what? And if it's not in your budget, don't buy it. So ideally, what my wife and I do is once a year we'll sit down and we'll kind of decide what are kind of our big ticket purchases. Now we had a refrigerator to go out that, realize that things are not always in the plans, but did you figure out what your big ticket items are? And then you can kind of go ahead and plan for those. Other principles? Part of it really is just know yourself. Know your goals. Know your budget. Know what you're working across. So funny is I've gone through all of these principles in each of these sections. Knowing yourself is the biggest one. Yes?
I actually think it's important to start using one as soon as you can, because if you go to buy a house and you have no credit score, you're not going to be able to get.
I have a question. Do you have to keep a balance on your credit card to develop credit history?
No.
You don't. That's one of those faith-promoting rumors that you hear. Other principles?
I
Yes.
was gonna say with the pay it off each month, what I do is I have a set date every week that I'll go onto my credit card and just pay it off regardless of what the balance is. So rather than every month, maybe just a set day every week.
Yeah, you could. I mean, any of those things will work. Let me just share a couple of ones, which are basically we did. Know yourself. Know your mission, your values, and your vision statement. Again, with increased vision comes increased motivation. So if we know what our vision is, know where you are financial, pay out monthly, purchase that are in your budget and plan for. And again, debt except for modest homes and modest education. And then I just added this one here. Review your credit score and credit reports annually to ensure correctness and no identity theft. So those are just kind of some ideas. So let's start with a little bit about credit reporting and credit agencies. If we can get this to work. Okay. Sorry, I connect to my computer in my office. It says, okay, connection's at 1 of 20. So you're talking to some students earlier, and they said, well, why do you got the USB if you dial into your computer? I said, it's in case something goes wrong. Okay. Plan B. Okay. So credit bureaus. Someone define a credit bureau. What do they do? They collect information. Credit reports is really the information that they collect. Credit scoring is the process of taking that information and giving you a type of grade on that. Three major reporting bureaus: Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. For your personal financial plan section, you have to have a report from one of those credit scoring agencies or credit reporting agencies. Is there a lot of information on these? The answer is yes.
Sorry, do you have a recommendation on any of the three?
Anyone. You're allowed one free credit report a year from each of the agencies, and so I get one about every 4 months. Now, do they have different information on?
Yes.
The answer is yes. People don't report the same thing to all three. Some of them report to one, some will report to another. So you need to be aware of those. 70% of Americans have at least one negative remark. 50% contain inaccurate or incorrect information. So we need to be wise in the things that we do. So Stuart volunteered to come on up here, and he's going to be a guinea pig. I'd like each of you to, if you've got your computers, I'd like you to do the same thing. Yes?
How do you fix inaccurate information?
There's actually there's different processes for each of the reporting agencies. You'll go onto their website to they'll actually give you instructions and their forms that you can fill out. Stuart, you want to come on up and take us over? Everyone, if you've got your computer, I'd like you to actually do this.
Do you want me to bring my computer?
No, we're going to let you do it online. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to annualcreditreport.com. Okay, so here's Stuart's here, and I appreciate him volunteering. So we're going to go to request your free credit reports. So we're going to fill out a form. Request your credit reports. There's a little button there. So what you're going to have to do is going to fill out this information, and while Stuart's doing that, I'm going to blank this out. So once you get to a point beyond that, Social Security number 362954781. You guys got that? Okay. So while he's doing that, while each of you guys are doing that, I wanted to read something. Credit reporting, is it a good thing or a bad thing? We've all heard the stories about this person who had this job, and then their employer went and did a credit report on them, and they rescinded the job offer. Does that mean credit reporting is a bad thing? So let me start this. It's called the 7 Naked Truths of Credit Reporting. So while Stuart's doing that, in fact, Stuart, as soon as you get to a point where you're comfortable showing on the screen, so you can just push it through. Number one, truth number one, credit reporting is a good thing, not a bad thing. For those of you expecting to get a hellfire and brimstone sermon on the horrors of credit reporting industry, this may surprise you. Credit reporting is one of the most important economic developments in history. The availability of accurate information about the creditworthiness of individual people and business is what makes the U.S. economy the envy of the world. Truth number two, lots of mistakes are made. There are more than 1,000 consumer reporting agencies in the country. The three biggest, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, are what you're most familiar with. 2 million credit reports are ordered each day, and 2 billion pieces of information are added to the credit files each month. So the average consumer's credit report is updated 5 times a day. With all this information, mistakes are going to happen. Truth number three, nobody's looking out for you except you. There's almost no structure in place to prevent the errors from taking place. There's plenty to correct the problems once you find them, but little or nothing to prevent errors at the onset. The point is, the only person who can look out for your interests is you. Truth number four, the laws protect you, not them. There's no law that's been passed that mandates credit reporting. Over the years, there's a number of laws that have passed that are aimed at protecting you, the consumer. The Fair Credit Reporting Act, Equal Credit Opportunity Act, the Fair Debt Collection Act. All of these acts protect you. Truth number five, it's all just gossip. Someone I spoke to recently likened credit reporting to allegations made about you that may be true or may not be. Still, they're allegations or gossip. The implication here is that people are talking about you behind your back. The entire conversation and all of that gossip is sitting there in your credit reports. More importantly, the law says you can dispute the truthfulness of many of these allegations. And the people who are talking about you must prove that what they're saying is true. Truth number six, time is on your side. No matter how ugly your credit indiscretions, the laws require that credit reporting agencies stop reporting blemishes after a certain amount of time. Both good and bad. They're supposed to stop reporting them after 7 years. Bankruptcy is after 10. Truth number seven, it's an opt-out world. You do know everyone in the world has your personal information right. Everyone knows you. Would like to say it's because you're so popular because of your sparkling personality. But it's more likely that everyone just wants to make a buck off of you. Unfortunately, the only way to opt out is to understand the rules of the game and make them work for you. And so what we're trying to do in this class is to help you to understand the rules of the game. So we said it's an opt-out world. I encourage you to opt out for those pre-approved program offers. It's an opt-out world. I encourage you Sign up and don't have people calling you during dinner time trying to sell you things. You know, we need to be wise in what we do. Okay, so next, what we'll likely do is we'll bring up some questions. Hopefully. For most of you, I recommend kind of use your permanent address. Sometimes it's a little easier. So it's not working? Try that, try next again. Oh, okay.
When I did it, it gave me an error message because I didn't put anything for the previous address, so I just copied my permanent address again.
And I find these, you need to do upper and lower case. Okay, do you mind doing Equifax? It really doesn't matter, but I know Equifax has this dollar deal, the FICO score. So we click on that. So now it's going to ask him some questions. Hopefully he's going to answer the questions right. First time I did this, I did 3 reports before I finally answered all the questions right. Okay, click to continue. So now here's the questions. Drum roll. Okay, every one of you is going to have to do this. And I encourage you to do it right now in class just because it'll help you out. Let's see if you answered the questions. So let's view and print your report. You just click on Get Started. Okay. So you can buy your Equifax credit score with a credit card, only $8. Let's kind of look through these here. We'll go to that in a minute. So here's the different accounts. Notice how they divide it. Mortgage, installment, revolving, and other. Debt to credit ratio account. So the balance and what's available. So keep coming on down. Account age. Length of credit history, 6 years, 6 months. And requests. Notice the requests. These inquiries in the last 2 years. So requests, you can also know who's been requesting your information. So any potentially negative information, no. I should have had you bring a jump drive up there. Let's continue on down. Is that as far as it goes? Okay, let's go up here and print the report. Just print report. And then hopefully what should just show us the whole thing. You can make that large. Okay, so debt credit ratio. Come on down a little farther. Now here's the different accounts. But you see there's quite a lot of information. Now green means it pays on time, kind of the balance. So what you want to do is you want to make sure this stuff is checked. It's correct. So we can see his payment history, he's paid things on time here. Okay, questions on your credit report. How many people here have already just pulled your credit report? Good, so what I'd like you to do is just save it to a PDF file. What I do is I save it to a PDF file and then I just put it under Experian 2015 and then the date. And that way I've kind of got a record of what I'm doing here. So let's go back, let's close out of this one here. We're going to go back to the credit score.
Can I print this? How do you print this?
Okay, what I do is, you have a jump drive?
Yeah, I do.
Well, why don't we just leave it here, and then we'll just come back. Now let's go look here. Credit scores. Okay, question, are all credit scores the same? They want him to buy an Experian Equifax credit score. This is from Consumer Reports. And just a little note. So credit scores, which ones do lenders use? It says this, FICO is not the only credit score you can buy. Vantage Score, available from Experian for $5.95 and TransUnion for $7.95, is touting it as more consistent and simpler than FICO scores. But Vantage Score carries this disclaimer. Your credit score may be different from the score used by your lender. Experian also sells its proprietary Plus scores along with its credit reports. The company says your score helps lenders, landlords, and employers quickly gauge your credit history and decide what kind of risk they're taking if they approve your application, but Experian's terms of service tell a different story. The Plus score is not currently sold to lenders, and it's not an endorsement or a guarantee of your credit worthiness as seen by the lenders. Consumer reports take these credit scores probably aren't worth the money. So, what do we do for students who are trying to save money? Generally what I would do about 6 months or a year before you want to get a home, I would pull a FICO score. So online you can see, you can find some codes, and you can usually get it for about 14 to 15 bucks. But a FICO score is kind of the gold standard. 75% of all credit scores are sorted by FICO scores. Now, the other scores are still interesting to do, and I think it's important. What I would do is I'd do a FICO score probably every 2 to 3 years, and then I'd use a Credit Karma or a Credit Sesame things. You want to go to Credit, K-R-E-D-E. Is it C-R-E-D-I-T, Karma, K-A-R-M-A. And then what we'll do is we'll pull up .com. So you can either use a FICO one if you're planning to get a house in the next year. I might do a FICO scores. So what you want to do, you log. Oh, you already have an account. You're going to remember your password. So the nice thing about this, they do not use a FICO score. They use, I'm not even sure which score they use. And so what it can do is, the nice thing about this is it can help you just to get an update on where you are. Now realize they use different, they use a different credit reporting agency. You might have a different score. My daughter worked at Wells Fargo, and you could actually go in and get a credit monitoring system for $1 that give you this report that had all 3 of your FICO scores with all 3 of the companies for the credit reporting companies. And it was interesting, your score can vary by as much as 35 to 40 points. So realize that. So notice TransUnion and Equifax, so it's 2 different score providers. And so, how's Stuart doing?
He's excellent.
He's actually doing pretty well. So, what we want to details, can you see details that can impact your score? Check out your credit factors. So what you have to do is you have to ask the question, what do I need to do to improve my score? So credit card utilization. Percentage of your credit limits that you're using. So that is what percent, if you've got $1,000 in credit limit and you're using $200 on average each month, what's your credit utilization? 40%. So ideally you want to be under about 15%. So under 15 to 20% here. Okay, payment history, you want to pay on time. You've made on time, so 100% payment history. Derogatory marks. Do you have any? Age of credit history. Poor, 2 years and 7 months. So if you want to start off sooner. Total accounts, low impact. Total number of accounts listed. Do you have to have a lot of accounts? No.
I was just going to make a comment about the age of credit history.
Okay.
My dad added me to his credit card that he's had for years, and then I just have it in my name, but I don't spend anything on it, and that increases my age of my credit card, which improves my credit score.
That's.
So.
I had a student come in and he said, Brother Sudweeks, I don't know what to do. He says, my name is the same as my dad, and some of my dad's accounts are on my credit score. And I said, well, here's my rule of thumb. If it's going to hurt me, I would fix it quickly. If it's going to help me, I would probably be too busy to fix it. So he's 25 years old. He's got 23 years of credit history. Really kind of cute. Okay, so any questions on getting your credit report and your credit score? This is the important thing here. So what would Stuart be able to say? What are things that he can do?
Get older.
Get older. So he's had very few hard inquiries. Total accounts. Really the big thing that he could do here is, he's probably doing about as well as he can for right now. He's paying on time. He's using a low balance. Okay, one of the things that can help you is if you can increase your usage as a percent of your total limit. So you can do that two ways. Number one, you can reduce your amount you use, or you can increase your credit limit. What I'd like you guys to do is realize that these credit card companies really want your business. So what I'd like to do is in the next quiz, I'm going to have a question that says, did you call your credit card companies? And then the answer is, and if you do that, you did call them, you'll get full credit, but did they increase your credit limit or decrease your interest rate? Now, why would we want to do something like this? And are we more concerned about the interest rate or the credit limit? The credit limit. And the reason being is this is one of the easiest ways to improve your score. So if you can reduce, let's say you spend $200 a month on your credit card, you use it to buy gas, and your limit's $500. What is your usage percentage? $200, $500 limit, 40%. What happens once you kick that from $500 to $1,000? Assuming no change in spending, what's your new limit gone to? 20%. So that's what we want to do. Now there's a difference between a soft pull and a hard pull. What's the difference?
But it shows us, right?
Yeah. So a hard pull. Hard inquiries. So if there's a risk if you're doing this, that you want to increase your credit limit, there's a risk that they may do a hard pull on you. And that may have that could have a slight impact on your credit score. However, the benefit is significant. So if you're concerned about that, come and talk to me and we can work something out. Clark?
If you've done that relatively recently,
Yeah.
should we still pass?
Yeah, what I would do, if you've done it in the last 6 months, generally every 6 months they'll do that.
Yeah.
Let me just share just a quick note from one of the students. And so I had all my students do this because, your credit card companies really would like to keep you. Says, hi, Brother Sudweeks. As I left class today, I called my credit card company to extend my line of credit, and in 30 seconds I increased my credit line by $1,500. There was a prompt for a credit line increase, so I didn't even have to talk to a rep. That was easy. Some of them are different, but I'd like to at least try. And what I recommend is the sandwich method. White bread, meat, white bread. You call them up and just say, hey, I'm really appreciate the card. It's been really good for me. I haven't had to pay too much interest. So kind of the white bread stuff. And then you get into the meat. And then here's where I say, imagine my surprise when, I get these other credit card offers that would like me to get one of their credit cards, and they've got lower rates, and they're willing to give me a higher increase. To say, instead of going with someone else, I prefer just to get a credit increase. You guys do that. And then white bread again, really appreciate being able to work for you too. Don't hesitate to say, I'm doing this as part of a class assignment. I mean, the personal finance class at BYU, and this professor is really mean. He's making us do all these hard things. I'm going to get blamed for things, so might as well take advantage of it. But I would like you to call one of your credit cards, just because I'd like you to get used to asking them. And again, don't be afraid. You didn't make a payment, you forgot something. Don't be afraid calling up and saying, hey, can you take that interest payment off? It's just that we were gone and things like this. And like I said before, I got my wife to say $5,000, just calling up and saying, hey, can you eliminate the payments? Most of these companies, once a year, they'll do it for you because just to be good. Stuart, any other suggestions for us?
No, I'm curious, which one is the one we need for our assignment?
You need both of these. So, so what you would do is, you would go, if you want to go back up to the top or just back one screen, so you would say, I used go to the Credit Karma one. Let's go back, but you can hit overview. Well, that's all right. So I used a TransUnion credit report, and I used so this is, you notice here, Vantage Score 3.0 model. And then I used a Vantage Score as my scoring methodology. My score was 758, which is considered excellent. And so, sometimes they have the percentage, but you're probably in the top 15 to 20%.
But didn't we need like a full-on report?
Right, you'll get this report. So you would print this off. But what I see is just a report. You just tell me what that information is. Why don't I want to see your credit report and your credit score? Do I need to see it? No, I don't. And are there risks for identity theft and things like this? Probably wouldn't keep it around. Luckily, they don't put your entire social security number on it, things like this. But there is some information there. So just in the interest of safety, all you do is just that cover page with all of that listed. Okay. Stuart, thank you. If you want to come up afterwards, you can kind of say your story. Do a file. Yeah, you do. So what I'll do is I'll just. Thank you. Why is it important that we understand what our credit scores are? What does your credit score impact? It impacts buying a car. You know that. What else does it impact? Mortgages. Getting a job potential. How about insurance? Now you have a higher credit score. I like this little chart here. So if you've got a $300,000 30-year fixed rate mortgage, the difference between the high and the bottom was $100,000 over the life.
Talking about insurance, I read an article in Consumer Reports, and it was saying that your credit score has more to do with your car insurance rates than how many accidents you've been in.
That's interesting. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how the FICO scores are calculated. Number one, payment record, 35%. You pay those bills on time. Number two, total amount owed is a percent of your available limit. Again, if we can increase that limit, that will keep this down, which should improve your credit score. Three, credit history. You want to keep your oldest accounts. It used to be that by closing some accounts, it could improve your credit history. The new FICO score, really, it doesn't help it that much. You might want to close some of these just for the risk, but you need to do it wisely. Number four, application history. Don't apply for too many credit cards. And the last one's credit mix. You don't want to have all clothing cards or all gas cards or things like this. You want a balanced portfolio. Do you have to have a lot of credit cards? How many people here have just one credit card? How about two credit cards? I've only got two. Then some people have more than that. You don't have to have a lot. I like a minimum of two, just in case, since they're having technical difficulties in one place, that I can actually use the other card. So we manage our assets. Let's manage our liabilities as well. Okay. So what do you do about mistakes? If you've got problems, different things, but maybe contact the creditor. At the end of each of the credit reports, there's information. There's actually forms you can fill out. If you can't get the problem solved here, you do credit reporting agents, customer service representatives. You want to explain it in writing. Documents supporting the investigation form from the website. And number three, you can actually fill out a dispute form where you can actually put the information there. So let's just do a quick little case. Give you a couple of minutes on this. I actually made up this case. Last semester, a student came into my class and he said, that's exactly what happened to me. He says, except it dropped by 60 points. So I feel pretty good now. I can say this is a real case. Okay, 3 reasons my score may have dropped. Garrett.
So it says it cut up his cards that he used a long time, so it was worth his longest.
So he got rid of his longest card. Garrett.
Is
saying maybe because he got rid of cards, maybe he's using the same amount of money. It was on fewer cards, the percent that he owed was a higher percent of his total credit.
That's right, so each of these cards had a credit limit on it, and when he got rid of the cards, that dropped his credit limit. What would the third reason be?
He reduces cards to only one type of
One
credit.
type of card, so his mix was bad. Okay, good. What should he have done? So, history, oldest card, available credit, eliminate those needs, the mix. What should he have done? Let's talk about history. What should he have done? What?
Just left the card that has the longest history open.
Right, kept the card that has the longest history open. Where can he find the credit history of his cards?
He could have gone to like a credit report.
On his credit report, that's right. 2, how about limits? What's he have done? Clark?
If you call them up and ask for a high limit, then you would.
So which is exactly what you're doing for this assignment in class. You're going to call up and ask for a limit. You could also say, well, I was thinking about getting another card, then I just thought maybe I'll just get an increased credit limit with you guys. That's an easy thing to say too. How about the third one, mix?
Delete the ones that were repeats. So
Yeah, delete the ones that are repeats. Now, the question is, do you want to cancel the cards or do you want to keep them? And that's kind of an individual decision. But there's risk always if you have an open account that someone could find that account and make some purchases on it. So, but if you can kind of follow this framework, you can still eliminate the cards and still not have it impact your credit score. What are some other things above what he could do? Above what we've already talked about. So we've talked about length, and we've talked about limits, and we've talked about mix. Because each of you are going to have to write these things down. Because you're going to have to come up with your credit. Cassie?
Might not be paying it off every month since it's
Yeah.
so
So try to start paying it off every month. Try to be more disciplined in your payments. Get on your budget. Other thoughts? Liz?
You could check the reports often and see if there's any mistakes in there.
Check the reports often to see if there are mistakes. See what else we came up with. Yeah. Yeah, those are probably good ones. But it's important, we manage our assets. We seem to do a lot better job of managing our assets than we do of managing our liabilities. Okay. Interesting little chart. Tell me what this graph says. Well, we're learning, 2009, 2008, 2009 had an interesting impact. And I'm not sure if we stopped going into debt or if we paid things off. I'm not sure why the big drop. What percent of families still have with some credit card debt that they don't pay off every month? Just out of curiosity, let's say the average credit card debt is about almost $16,000. What do you think the average interest rate is? 15%? So $16,000 times 15% tells me how much money are these guys paying in interest every month? Someone want to calculate that for me? 16,000? 2,400. So and if the interest rates are higher than 15%, you're probably $24,000 to $3,000 a year. Imagine what you could do with $3,000.
Yeah.
So, is it a challenge? How did we get to where we're this far in debt? And this does not include mortgage debt. How did we get to where we're this far in debt?
Maybe this is optimistic, but my brother's in law school, and so he's financed on like 0% promotional APR, some of it is debt, and then once that becomes, once it's no longer 0%, then you just index the loan and pay it off. So, I mean, maybe some of that we can hope
Okay.
isn't at high interest rate.
Hopefully it's productive debt, hopefully it's education debt.
But
Any ideas? But honestly, what
that's
do
not
you think?
likely, no.
We went out water skiing and our boat is 16 years old and falling apart, and just to see some of these boats out there, and you know what, I'm not sure that that's productive debt. But you know, and I think a lot of it comes back to what are our goals? What do we want to accomplish? What's our vision? I think a lot of people are going to get to retirement and they're going to find it's not very fun. Because what do? They spend their money on cars, new houses, and new toys. Yes?
So on this, is it averaging just people who have credit card debt, or is it averaging everybody?
I think it's kind of everybody. On
So like
average.
they have like the people that, I guess 50%, I guess
Right.
it's something, 55% or
Yeah.
52% that have.
Yeah, I'd have to go back into the notes to find. But it makes the point is we really should be careful. We really need to be wise in what we do. And if we can get the principles right, and I think we've come up with some good principles. I think we can do well. You know, and it brings us to some important points. How do you manage your credit cards and don't get debt? And I think it brings us to these 4 key points. Number 1, reduce your debt. Try to reduce it. Right now, you guys are at school. Just try to minimize your debt as much as possible. You guys are spending money on the most important things. You know, when we had the discussion on debt and debt reduction, one of the people on the review said, Brother Sudweeks, I'm feeling really bad for my debt. You know, you probably came across a little bit too strong. Ideally, you guys are here and you're getting an education, so you'll be able to earn 2 and 3 times what you earned before. And that way, it's okay. So hopefully I don't come across too much. But try not to go into new debt. Number 2, protect against fraud. Save your receipts. You know, I looked at my credit card every week. I run my Quicken, and my Quicken brings in, there's actually a couple of credit card things that I don't know what they are. Like they were $2 and $5, and so I'm not too worried, but when they get larger, I get very concerned. So we need to be wise on those things. Beware where your cards are at all times. I had a friend who told me that whenever he takes out his credit card out of his wallet, he'll hold the wallet in his hand until he gets his credit card back. And that way he always knows. Because I've left my credit card at Spaghetti Factory and a whole bunch of other places. They know me pretty well. But probably too well. But be careful on that one. Trouble signs. You know, and to me the trouble sign is can you pay it off each month? And if you can't pay it off each month, that is a trouble sign. And the credit card is just, it's been a safety valve for too many people. And then control your spending. So, interesting challenges we all have. And there are things that we need to address. My wife and I like to ski. But we're not very good, but we still have fun. So we were on the back mountain, and we were going up the back mountain, the lift there on the back mountain, and it's amazing you get phone reception there. And I got this call from my daughter, and Jill knows. One of my daughters who was just in tears. She says, Dad, she was going to school here. She goes, I went in the bathroom in the Harold B. Lee Library, put my backpack up on a shelf. I went in to use the bathroom, and when I came out, my backpack was gone. She says, I had my computer and my wallet and all my school stuff. Dad, I don't know what to do. And so I'm just sitting here going, okay, what are the things that I teach in this class? I go, okay, there's some numbers we need to call. We need to call the credit reporting agencies. We have to call the Social Security numbers. And I said, you know what, once we get back, we can do that. So did we stop skiing? No, we kept skiing. So we try to make sure our, maybe that just tells how we are. And so, my wife and I talked about it, and then about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, we were going up the same back mountain, I got this phone call, and they says, "Is this Dad?" I thought that's kind of weird. He goes, "This is BYU police." He says, "We found this backpack that had a phone, and I just called the number that said Dad." And I said, "Yes, my daughter lost it." So we got our computer back. She got all her school stuff back. They took the wallet. What they did is all they wanted was cash and credit cards. And so the thing is, and then when we got home, we started making the phone calls. And so the question is, what do you do when you lose a credit card? Number one, you call your credit card company immediately or sooner. Because they've got to know where you've got to be able to know that it's lost. And what I like you to do is, I'd like you to copy your cards front and back and keep the 800 numbers ready so you know in case anything happens. If you're traveling internationally, this is especially important. 2, file a police report immediately in the jurisdiction of the loss. That tells the credit card company that you're serious and that you're diligently trying to find it. Number 3, 3 national credit reporting agencies and the Social Security Administration. So what you do is you call them and you tell them that you've lost those. And then generally, I think it was like 3 days later, she had all of her credit cards back. They had replaced them. So it's important to understand what we need to do when things go wrong. So how do you develop a credit history? What about people who can't get a credit card? So let's use this story here. She was reading about the importance of having a credit score. She found she had no history. She pays her bills on time, has a checking account and a debit card. Why might not she have a credit report? Yeah, no credit card. Do you have to have a credit card for a credit report? Yeah, you have to have something credit related. Okay, what can she do to improve her credit history? You can try to get one. So you can try to get a credit card. Do you have to use it? Do you have to carry a balance? No, you don't. Contrary to popular belief, I think some people like to use that as an excuse. Well, it's building my. I got to carry a balance because it's helping my credit score. Okay, and then debit cards. Do debit cards help build credit? So what can she do in this instance here? So the banks will not allow her to get a credit card. What should she do?
You can sometimes get a credit card that's like secured against a portion of your savings.
Okay, so you can get a secured credit card. Anyone here had a secured credit card before? Okay. How long did you have to have it? Yeah. So here's the question. Credit reporting agencies, do they know the difference between a secure credit card and an insecure one? Secure credit and a regular credit card? No, they don't. So generally one of them takes about 6 months to a year. Then you've got some credit history, and then you can kind of apply them in other places. Other ideas? Yes?
There's a lot of student credit cards available now, so if you prove that you're like a student, you can get
And what are those interest rates? Interest rates on those cards, they're really low, right?
yeah, that's 0% for the first year, and then
0% for the first 2 months and 25% afterwards. But you know what? As long as you're going to pay it off, that's okay. We don't care what the interest rate is. Just make sure you pay it off. So, and how would you get a secure credit card? Yeah. So what you do is you put money in an account and then you borrow against that account. Oftentimes, if your parents have an account that they've used, you can actually go get one with a small. You can get just a regular credit card, kind of on your parents. Your parents have a good relationship with the bank. Often they'll just let you do that there. What does this tell us for our kids? We're helping our kids get trying to build credit there. Would it be useful? Do credit reporting agencies? Is credit developed regardless of whether the limit is $100 or $10,000? So maybe, as we have our kids and our kids get a little older, maybe just getting a small credit card with a $50 limit or $100 limit may be helpful. But secured credit cards are an interesting way to go. Can we be successful in our process of trying to increase our credit scores? Does it take time? Let me just share a couple of stories here. Hi, Professor Sudweeks. You may or may not remember me. My name is Mike, and I took your class last year. Thought I would share a success story with you. When I started in your class in January, my credit score was 668. Using the methods you talked about in class, my score has increased every month, and I'm happy to report that my score is now 764. I'm over the 750 mark finally. My credit card debt is almost all paid off now as well. The key to my score increase was opening another credit card that I never used, but it reduced the proportion of balances to credit limits. So since then, I've had you guys increase that. I also have been using your savings method, trying to save 20%, although I haven't yet saved that much in a month. I'm getting better. And then using my saved income each month to pay off the debt. This also helps the proportion of balances to credit limits. Anyway, I was excited when I saw my score, and it made me think of you in your class, and I'm grateful that I took it and learned valuable stuff that is affecting my life. So thank you. Good luck. Let me share one more. Dr. Sudweeks, I wanted you to know about the experience I had with my credit reports this semester. When I checked my credit score in February, I was expecting it to be quite high, but I was shocked to see it was only 666 on FICO. I looked through my report and found a couple of surprises. There was a collection on my account placed in credit report in May that I didn't know about since I hadn't received anything in the mail regarding it. I looked through some of my own paperwork to figure out what it could possibly be. And eventually, after some work and some calls, found it was from a hospital visit from December 2007. I received one bill for that visit, but nothing else ever came. Apparently, there was another bill mailed separately that I never received due to an incorrect address in the file. That incorrect address got passed on to the collections, and so I never heard anything about it. In any case, I called up the bill and paid off the bill at the collections agency. I requested that the collection be removed from my report, and they agreed to do so due to the problem with the mail. I thought it would take months for it to be done, but I decided to go back and look at some of my other credit reports about 2 months after checking the score. I was surprised to see that the collection was completely gone from my credit reports. I went ahead and ordered another credit score, again FICO. I was glad to see that it improved to 781. I think the removal of the collection had the biggest impact on the score. We also have made some adjustments to decrease my debt to credit ratio from about 20% to about 10%. This probably had somewhat of a positive effect on my score as well. It is okay to share this story with your classes. Thanks again for the great class. And so we can do this. Not only can we do this, we need to do this. You know, we saw that score there, the difference on a $300,000 loan between the high FICO score and the low FICO score was $100,000 over the life of the loan. So if we can spend the time and spend the effort to bring up our score, this should help. Again, if you're concerned that requesting an increase in your credit limit will have a negative impact on your credit score, come and talk to me. And we can work something out. But for most of you, I think it will be a positive thing. And I think you'll find that most of these places are pretty happy to help you. They'd like to keep you as a customer. Again, that will be one of the questions on the next quiz. Is did you call? You'll get the same credit whether you called and got, they got exactly what, or whether they called and they said no. The interesting thing is if you call and they say no, you're still in the same position if you hadn't called. Stuart?
Does it count if you do like an electronic version where you request it?
Generally what happens, generally with an electronic version, they won't pull your credit score. And I say generally, but I've seen, like the example that I read earlier, they just basically did a click on it and they increased it.
Oh, I'm asking for the quiz because I just requested it online recently. So
and as long as they give it, if you request it online, I'll accept that.
Okay.
So that means you get it. How much did you request?
They just said like get a $5 statement credit if you request a whatever, and so I just requested like an extra $2,000 or something.
Good. Okay. So you can see we've talked about a lot of stuff today. A lot of stuff relating to credit reports and credit cards. Again, credit cards, either a tool to help you accomplish your financial goals or the single most destructive instrument in history. Why don't we spend a few minutes now, and let's just spend a few minutes and let's think about what are the takeaways from today's class. I really would like you to kind of keep this history. Again, digital dialogue box. And Learning Suite's a good place to keep it active, or you can do it on your computer. But I think if you'll have a list each day, what we talked about and what the takeaways were, I think it can help in the motivation process. Help you do better. So what are your takeaways from today? Jill, what are your takeaways today?
I have a lot of work to do.
Should we, and sometimes we get disappointed because we see the work that we have to do. But the key is to realize the important thing is not that we have a lot of work to do, but we have a plan. Other takeaways from today? Mikkel?
You don't need to run a balance on your card in order to actually increase your credit score.
You don't need to run a balance on it to create. Darren?
I was thinking add the credit report review, kind of like you do every 4 months. Just reviewing that's my personal finance goal.
Okay. Take a credit report review. And the nice thing about, you can go to Credit Karma, you can do the same thing too. It doesn't cost as much. It doesn't cost any money too. Mackenzie, you had raised your hand too.
Oh, I was just thinking about when I was looking on my Credit Karma, the amount of my limit being spent, because I have such a low credit limit on my main credit card, and so that's been negatively affecting my score, but I pay it off every month, so increasing the credit limit will help.
It's going to have a big thing. So doing this assignment would be helpful. Adam, how about you? What are your takeaways from today?
I didn't know that it was in a proportion of your how much credit, how much you spend and how much your credit limit is. So I think it'll be good to ask for a credit increase.
And you can actually see what I did from a professor's point of view. I can't do anything about how you pay your bills. That's 35%. But the next biggest one is that 30%. So if I can encourage you to get a little bit higher credit limit, that should help us move forward to increase our scores. And we do all want to at least try to increase the score. Any other takeaways?
Don't just go closing credit cards without considering the impact.
Don't just go closing credit cards without considering the impact. Jimmy, how about you? I've picked on you in a while.
Yeah.
Jimmy's my good buddy. I pick on him a lot. Right, it's a little bit different. Jim's from Indonesia. And yet he's very much Americanized too. So your thoughts, what are your takeaways from this?
I have a car loan, but for some reason it's very full. So I just put it out there. I almost paid it off already, so I didn't check on it.
So with credit cards, not all of them report to all the different credit reporting agencies. And so, let's take one more. Let's see what I picked on. Alec, I haven't picked on you. I'll let you be the final comment for the day.
You haven't picked on me today, or?
No, I haven't picked on you in a while.
I don't know, last time. I'm just kidding.
No, I did last time. I have a bad memory.
No, the utilization was a big key point for me as well. Just, I know several people said that, but I think that's pretty important.
Let me just share some of my thoughts here. Number one is we manage our assets. Let's manage our liabilities as well. If we can be wise in what we do, we can also, it can help us reduce our mortgage costs, but it can help us reduce our insurance in other areas. Number two, there used to be an old marketing plan here in Utah that said, know before you go. What they wanted to say, if you were traveling someplace, look and see where the dangers are in the road, where the construction is. And I'd say, let's know before we go here on our credit reports and our credit scores. So if you know what your credit score is and someone says, oh, wait a second, you don't have a very high credit score, and you can just tell them, wait a second, a score of 760 isn't a high credit score. And number three, remember that what you don't know can hurt you. So it's really important that we go onto our credit reports, and we find any mistakes, and we find any challenges, and we can resolve those quickly so we can bring up our score. Okay, thanks everyone. For the MBAs that weren't here on Wednesday, if you want to come up, we'll grade those parts of your PFP, we'll hand those back to you.